Hello, ladies and gentlemen, business owners, my fellow citizens. This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We also assist companies in the implementation and certification of ISO certifications in all derivatives. Our background is aerospace, medical implants, materials, printing, and plastic distribution, 40 plus years in the realm of manufacturing and quality. Today, we are bringing to the forefront why Boeing has such a freaking problem. And it has to deal with their underwriter / certification bodies or accreditation bodies, the American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board. They are underwriters for the International Accreditation Form, which is incorporated in Delaware. And you will find out as I unravel this onion for you, rotten of course, you will find out that ANSI is the basically developer of the IAF. They are the ones who are instrumental in making the IAF, the International Accreditation Form, or as we kindly call it after Boeing's fiasco and also Lockheed Martin with their 801st F-35 ship being built with escapes or rejections. And there's Jim Tassett. You have David Calhoun is leaving. He's probably happy. He hit lotto. I think it's $24 million he's going to get leaving. And then he'll come back and sit on their board. Watch. But anyway, let's continue on. Because we're going to bring Joe Bathia to the forefront here. He is the CEO, incompetent extraordinaire of the American National Standards Institute. And this is his salary for 2020. We have all of it, but I want you to listen to it. He is not worth it. Value added. They have several federal agencies that sit on ANSI's board getting financially compensated, like the Department of Commerce, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Gordon Gillerman, at one time he was making $120,000 as a royalty payment, which the IRS is having problems deciding whether a royalty payment is taxable or not. They also have the Department of Homeland Security. They're getting financially compensated along with their federal salary, of course. And Phil Matheson making $256,000. Joe gets the base compensation is $1,053,000. Bonus and incentive $662,000. Reportable compensation $30,000. Deferred compensation $384,000. Non-taxable $30,000, almost $31,000. The total package for 2020 is $2,161,000. Today, this is the exposure of ANSI-ANAB and why. The root cause of Boeing's quality issues. Boeing sits on ANSI's board. Not only do they sit on ANAB's board as well. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. And let's continue. You have the American National Standards Institute, which is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that has both federal agencies and corporations on its board. We're not going to go into the whole mishmash of this, but just a brief overview. You have Randy Doherty here in 2015. He was the chairman of the IF, the International Accreditation Forum, which is a repository for both international and national accreditation bodies. And also, he is on their 990 tax form, okay, as the principal. So he had complete control, and the ANAB vice president, American National Crediting Board. He handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national Zhao Jinwu, who has been involved with our quality since 1994. On top of it, he's got the China National Intelligence Law Article number 7, which mandates espionage. So why would you put a guy like that that has a dib of both federal agencies and corporations that are members on ANSI's board? In fact, during his term there, between 2015 and 21, a lot of their agencies and corporations that sit there got their data taken. You also have the factor that he is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China, which certified the laboratory that released the COVID virus. And why I say released? Because Miss Pamela Sale gave under deposition the vice president of accreditation for laboratories. She said from one laboratory to another, there are variances. They lack protocols, which means it is very likely that that lab will be lacking protocol. On top of that, in 2018, some scientists and specialists came from the United States and went to Wuhan, China. And they spoke with the scientists, and the scientists were basically in tears about they needed trained technicians. in a CDC, and by the way, the Center for Disease Control and also the National Institute of the National Institute of Health all sit on ANSI's board. But CDC wrote a training document for a virology lab in China. The reason why I say lab, because the only one listed in it is Wuhan, China, no less. On page 3, it states that the most critical part of maintaining containment in a situation of a bio-level 4 lab is to have highly trained technicians. They are the first guards to keep that virus in. Well, if you're not training it properly and they don't have enough, guess what happens? That guy, Zhao Jinwu, in the laboratory, when he certified the lab in 2017, gave a bogus piece of paper to a laboratory that had understaffed, and they gave it to him anyway. No wonder what they do at Boeing. I guess they do the same thing. So you have ANAB that sits on ANSI's board. I told you in 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB, and unbelievable. Also, before I read Joe Bathia's statements here from 2016, I have to, because in 2015, ANSI and ANAB were sitting on the IAF, being controlled and manipulated by communist China. In 2015, okay? In 2016, Joe Bathia gave a speech, okay, at the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. And this is what the title was. Don't let your competitors determine your future. And look again. ANSI is being watched over by China, correct? Would you want to have your competitor dictate the future of how you do business? And that competitor could be somebody not just from the US, but somebody from China? That was in March of 2016. In that same year, in August, Joe Bathia gave a speech at his own organization, ANSI, the power of strategic standardization. And this is what he said. Would you really want to have your competitor dictate the future of how you do business? You need to be engaged. So in 2015, ANSI was being controlled and manipulated by communist China. You have Joe Bathia, who says that, who said that, would you really want to have somebody, not just from the US, but somebody from China control you? So he is a liar. Do you get that, business owners? And that's why we have issues with Boeing. Boeing sits on their board, I am sure, without a doubt. My mother always said, if you can feel it in your gut, it's happening. Somebody getting a kickback from these guys. Because if they're paying federal agencies that type of money, $120,000 for NIST, which is part of the Department of Commerce, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Also, Department of Homeland Security, $256,000, and still getting their federal salary. On top of it, NIST runs the MEPs, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, that is supposed to help you manufacturers out there. Well, let me tell you something. That's a bunch of bullshit, because they get state and federal funding, whereby 64.85% of that goes to pay their management and personnel. And you want to know why American manufacturing back in the day for many decades were in the trash? It's because of NIST MEP. Telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS @yahoo.com. I thank you.